Hi, Orange Girl here with a process video for a layout on the Paper Issues blog today, a new feature called Mix It Up Monday. I'm using American Craft cardstock. I put gesso all over the whole thing to give me a good base for the watercolors that I'm going to use. Here's a photo of my daughter that was taken the day after Christmas. I'm pulling colors from that photo as inspiration for my background, the pink, the yellow, the black from her shirt. I love that contrast of the watercolors and the black. I'm starting with that lovely pink and applying it somewhat randomly on the page with a bit of thought about composition and design as I go. I'm trying not to use too much water, but I need enough for it to flow on the page. Whenever you use water on paper, you're going to get a little bit of warping, but I don't worry about that too much. The gesso seems to help a little bit too. I didn't have a good yellow, so I used this Fawn ink pad and I stamped it right onto that stamping block. And then I just add water to my brush and paint it on for this nice intense yellow color. Sorry that the bottom of my layout is off camera. It gets better, I promise. So I'm adding some orange because orange, and it helps the yellow and the pink look a little bit more balanced with a less of a stark contrast between it and the background white. Around the edges here, I'm using a little bit more water with a little bit less color to blend that color right into the white background. I use the same technique to blend the colors together um, throughout the background, and I also use my paper towel if I get a bit too much water or if I just want an area to be a little bit lighter. As I go up in the upper right corner, you might be able to see a bit of gray on that very edge, and this is because I didn't get the gesso clear out there and the color isn't sticking as well. It's okay because I'm going to cut off the edges anyway when I map my layout. Every once in a while, I'm going to pop that photograph in there to see where I need to add a little bit more color or blending. You'll see that happen. Here I'm going to add a little bit more water to my brush and just flick my brush for some ink splatters. I use the pink, the orange, the yellow to do that. I think that's coming up here. So I just tap my brush. Next, you're going to see me start to look through some 6x6 paper pads to build some layers behind my photo. I feel like I'm done, so I'm just going to start adding the layers. I end up not liking it and coming back later, but since this video is mostly about the watercolor and all that ink and fun getting messy stuff, you're going to see a lot more of that and a lot less of this other stuff, but I kept the camera running for some of it so that you can kind of see a little bit of my process. As I look through these pads, I am looking through mostly Amy Tangerine stuff. Old and new, I kind of mixed her collections up a little bit. She seems to like, oh, I love that heart paper, but I don't end up using it because it just doesn't work. She seems to like watercolors herself because there's a lot of that design in her collections, and I think that really is why it works a lot when I use these kind of backgrounds. You'll notice that I am continuing to add in some of that black and white to go with it. Like I said, once I build this all up, I end up not liking it. So I add some more color. I'm putting a little bit more orange in there because I feel like it helps the pink not stand out quite so much. A little bit too much contrast between the colors, and I really want the contrast to be more between the color and the black and white rather than between the colors, if that makes sense. So I'm adding some more orange, I'm adding some more red to make that in the middle of the pink, and then right here I'm just adding some black watercolor splotches. Okay, now everything is dry and I've cut off the edge, so it's a little bit smaller than 12 by 12 so that you can see the mat when I add the mat. When I do a lot of layers like this, I just staple them together with my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, which you saw there. It saves me a bit of adhesive. Next, I'm going to get out the stamps. I'm using Elle's Studio stamps, mostly stars. I'll use the same yellow Lawn Fawn color ink. You can't see it very much in the video, but I'll show close-ups at the end. Stamping with that same or a bit darker color really adds a lot of texture. I cleaned off my stamp there, and now I'm adding gelato. It's the same idea, a little bit darker, adding some texture. You can also add some water to that gelato for a more watercolor look, but that's not really the look that I want for this specific purpose. And now comes in the black for that contrast. Same stamp, just in black. Sometimes when I stamp, I'll stamp it a second time, so I have a lighter black or gray color too. I'm going to add in some more horizontal stars. And then later I add off camera some stamps from the Goldie collection, from the roller stamp in the 7 Papers Goldie collection, just because I wanted to use it. Next you're seeing me add some more stamps in, some more gelato. I just wanted to add a little bit bigger stamp so you could see it a little bit more. Now you're seeing me play around with some die cuts that I made using black cardstock and then scraps of paper that I watercolored on before I used it. I used some Amy Tangerine dies. I mess around with these mostly off camera, trying to decide what I like. In a few seconds you'll get to see it. I have hearts, I have the banners, and some arrows that I decide not to use. In a few minutes you'll get to see the final product and what I ended up using in the end. And there you go. I didn't like that area up at the top, so I just added a die cut to it. Here's what it looks like with my really long title. I hope you can see some of the stamps. There's that Elle Studio stamp along with the 7 Paper Goldie collection stamp, and there's the gelatos. I added more gelato there, and some of the look at the layers. I hope that you've learned something from this, or that you take something from this and use this on your own. And if you do, share it with us in the Paper Issues Facebook page. Ciao!